It is said that all that which exists is alive, which is true. Nothing is truly dead. If nothing is truly dead, that means that everything still exists and everything has a form of life. That means the rocks, the trees, the mountains, the rivers, the human beings, even the very planet is alive. This will mean that all forms of life this will mean life pervades the entire universe as they claim. A statement which is so bold, that to claim this, you need to understand life, because human beings understand life as self-motion, a creature that is able to move by itself to do something. And if a creature can move by itself, human beings term it to be a living creature. That means that since a rock needs somebody to move it, we say that it is not alive. And this means that a bottle needing somebody to move it, human beings disagree with its concept of life and disagree with its understanding of life, because human beings term life from thought and heart, brain and heart. And so any creature that does not have a heart is an organ that is self-moving, we say it is not alive. But it's not the concept, because we are creatures that are self-moving. And that does not mean the universe ends or puts a limitation on himself, on us. We are not the very image of the universe. We are beings that have found a way to use our energy to move through time. And so we have come to another understanding of the concept we call Vishnu, what the Hindus will call Vasudeva. Now, Vishnu is supposed to be a god, a concept or a god that is the spirit of life or the being of life. Vishnu is the god that represents the living states of the universe. In classical terms, we will say that Vishnu is the God that allows life. He's supposed to be the image of the heart of the universe, the spirit of life or the being of life. Do you understand? But can we really say that all of life is just the motion, self-motion that is happening? For example, we see the earth moving around the sun without anything's help. And though we understand the mechanics of how it works, so do we understand the mechanics of how the heart is beating. So do we understand the mechanics of how the mind is thinking. So do we understand the mechanics of how the wind is blowing. So what truly is dead? That means that death becomes the ultimate liar, and that as long as Vishnu or Vasudeva exists, the universe is all alive. Think of it like your hair. Now, your hair may not have the ability to move on its own, yet it grows. Do you understand? The universe is constantly expanding at a certain rate, and that means the universe himself is alive. And if the universe is alive, everything in it is alive, because it's one full body. And if it's one full body, which part of it is dead? If it's one full body, which part of it is dead? Though the teeth is as hard as a rock, yet the teeth grows. And anything that happens to the teeth, we can feel it. And so the nature of rocks having life can be debated by the way the teeth of a child grows, and when it grows, the way it comes out. Vasudeva or Vishnu is supposed to be a god with a weapon in his hand, many kinds of weapons, and he's able to take her down on a form of enemy. And there we see that in life, everything that exists has the authority to protect itself. Anything in life has the authority to guide itself and keep itself alive. And so a tortoise, as much as it's a rock and looking like a rock, has a form of life. And so the rock that you see, the stone that we are looking at, is only taking a form that is choosing to preserve itself from. Normally, we think of motion to be the secret of life, but Vishnu says that the concept of Vishnu says that it is not motion that determines the secrets of life, but actually defense, preservation, how you choose to preserve yourself. Are you understanding? So all things have taken those forms because in the minds of all things, like Tot would say, all is mine. Those forms are the best protections it can have for itself, to sustain itself, to keep it more longer in the universe. And so Vishnu is not just a spirit or a being that we worship, it is the nature of life and how life grants us preservation, how life grants all creatures preservation, how life grants all men preservation. And so the more you invest in the concept of the preservation, this nature of life, not the very fact that you are living longer, but the very fact that how you can preserve yourself. So Vishnu is more like a refrigerator. Vishnu is more like a weapon. You understand? This is why we are seeing so many weapons in his hand, and we are seeing a flower and wine, and we are seeing a sound, and we are seeing the Sudarshan chakra, and we are seeing all of that. This means that life is choosing to protect itself. This is the meaning of life, the eggshell. And then from the eggshell, because it is the only way it can survive, it moves to the chick, because that's the only way it can survive. And that is why you also exist, because this is the only way you can survive. When you find a way to preserve yourself, you would shift from that form to another form. This is what we call the Vishnu, or the concept of life. Life is preservation. It is when the universe begins to order itself in a way that whatever is there can survive and can be preserved against its threats. It's almost as if the entire universe is afraid of itself, yet is living in harmony. And the way they live in harmony is that they all protect themselves with what they think is the enemy. And so we are looking at it, and then we realize that the egg took that form because that is the form it can protect itself from what it understands as threat. And so we'll have Vishnu is the image of the way we preserve ourselves, but also the reverse image of what we call a threat, of what we call a threat. So Vishnu is supposed to be the form of life that we have chosen to give ourselves a protection, like a man with a weapon, like a tortoise with a shell. Vishnu is the shell. Vishnu is the shell of the tortoise. Vishnu is the teeth of the lion. Vishnu is the sword in a man's hand. Are you understanding that? Vishnu is the form we take to defend ourselves, is the form we take to protect ourselves. And so when we look at the shell of the tortoise, then we can understand that the enemy, or what is the threat that truly exists. It's something that can pierce, something that is hard, something that is out there. Do you understand? So Vishnu, you cannot have Vishnu and still see that you are under threat. That means your Vishnu is not real, or your Vishnu is not up to date. Upgrading and updating your Vishnu will determine the level of threats that come upon you, because Vishnu is supposed to be your preservation, the shell you get in, the weapon you claim to have. It's supposed to be the way your life defends itself. And that means that the rock that is there is alive, and this is its Vishnu. And the water that is there is alive, and that is its Vishnu. And the wind that is blowing is alive, and that is its Vishnu. That is the way it has chosen to preserve itself, to be invisible yet visible. The water to be fluid yet can be seen. The rock to be rigid yet can be felt and can crash. And so your Vishnu or your Vasudeva is a concept that you should invest in. How your very life protects you and shapes you in becoming yourself. And so we can say, like the old legend goes, Vishnu turns into a fish to guide people from the flood that is coming. Or we can say that your very antibodies is Vishnu, the fish that is saving you from the flood, from the disease, from a death. We can say Vishnu turned into a dwarf to defeat the darkness that was there. Your very humility, you prostrating down and trying to limit yourself, you bowing to something, is a form of Vishnu, because that's how you are defending yourself. There is a story of Vishnu turning into a man, half lion. Your aggression, your attack, your ferociousness could be a form of fight or flight, could be a form of you being Vishnu. There is another way where Vishnu turns into Lord Rama, a peaceful man that is in love with his weapon, looking for his wife. That is also Vishnu. Your determination for victory, your determination to win, that is Vishnu. Vishnu turning into Lord Krishna, the playful man, the mystical man, the powerful man, the man, a lover of music. That is you blending in life, blending in war, trying to make sense out of what is going on. It's also a form of Vishnu. Vishnu coming down as Lord Buddha. We are seeing that you sitting down and settling down and trying to calm everything down, to understand what is truly going on, to get inside your own head, to find out what is going on. That is Vishnu. So we are seeing the very forms we take to preserve our very existence, the preservation of our existence. That is Vishnu, that is Vasudeva. Find Vishnu, find the concept of preservation, and grow well in it.